This is task 16, TPR and auscultation of the cat. So I have my cat here, Chipmunk. We're just going to observe him in his cage, just assess his overall health and his mental attitude today. So he's obviously nice and bright and responsive. He seems to be quite friendly. You stand up? There you go. He's standing up, moving around in his cage. He's got a good posture. We can't see any signs of any lameness there. His hair coat is in good condition. It's nice and bright and shiny. We don't see any obvious areas of hair loss, any lacerations or any lumps and bumps. If we just open the door, we're just going to look at his body condition. So he is a slightly bigger cat, but we can easily palpate his ribs and feel them there. He does have a little bit of a waistline, so we know his body condition score would be around a 6, which is good. I'm going to get him out from his cage. We're going to take him through to the exam room and perform our TPR and have a listen to his heart and to his lungs. So we've got our cat out now on the exam table. We've got my assistant to help me with restraint. We're going to use the minimal amount of restraint possible just to avoid upsetting the cat, but obviously should we need to provide more restraint for the safety of both myself and my assistant and obviously the cat, we will do. So I'm going to go ahead and assess mucous membrane colour and capillary refill time. So we're going to look in the cat's mouth. We're just going to pull up his upper lip, so we're looking at his mucous membranes, which are nice and pink. They're nice and moist as well. Pale gums would be could be an indication of poor perfusion, for example in cases of shock, and dry tacky membranes can also be an early sign of dehydration. But Chipmunk's mucous membranes look good. They're nice and pink, nice and moist, so we know he's got good perfusion. I'm going to go ahead and check his capillary refill time. So just lifting up his upper lip again, I'm going to press down on his gum. I'm just going to use my thumb until the colour goes out of the gum, release my thumb, and we're watching that gums go back to that nice pink colour. Capillary refill time should be less than 2 seconds, which Chipmunk's was. That's also a good indicator of perfusion, so we know that Chipmunk's doing well. So we're now going to go ahead and listen to his heart. A few things we're looking for while we're listening. Obviously we need to calculate heart rate. We do this by counting the heartbeats over 15 seconds. We're going to then multiply that by 4 to give us heart rate over the minute. We're also listening to the points of maximum intensity, so that's over the heart valves, where any sign of a murmur would be louder. On the left side we've got the mitral valve, the pulmonic valve and the aortic valve. On the right side we've got the tricuspid valve, so we'll work around and listen to all of those. And we're also going to feel his femoral pulse in his hind leg, make sure that for every heartbeat we have, we also have a pulse rate there. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to his heart first. Let's make sure I've got my stethoscope the right way around. Okay, buddy. So just going ahead first and just placing our stethoscope just behind the elbow and listening for the heart, so we can hear it's got a nice strong heart rhythm there. So I'm just going to go ahead and count those beats for 15 seconds. I've just got my clock on the wall behind me, so I'm just going to watch the second hand. Okay, so Chipmunk there had 45 beats over that 15 seconds, so we're going to multiply that by 4, which gives us a heart rate of 180, which is well within normal limits for a cat. His heart sounded good and strong, couldn't hear any arrhythmias or any murmurs, so I'm just going to go ahead and listen to those points of maximum intensity. So starting over the mitral valve, moving up and around, and then we're going to go ahead and listen to the tricuspid valve on the right side, and everything sounds good there. There's no evidence of any murmurs. So going back to the left side, and then we're just going to feel that femoral pulse up in his hind leg as well. So I can feel a nice strong pulse, and that's going in time with his heart rate there. So every beat I've got, I can also feel a pulse. Good boy. Okay, so everything sounds good there with Chipmunk. So we're going to go ahead now and listen to his chest. We're going to listen to his lungs. So we're making sure that we can't hear any rattles or whistles or any wheezing. We're also going to assess his respiratory rate. So while he's just relaxing like this, we can see he's not breathing overly heavily. He's got a nice regular respiratory rate. We're watching the rise and fall of his chest. So we're going to go ahead and take his respiratory rate again just by counting those rises and falls of his chest for 15 seconds and then multiplying those by 4 again. So I'm just going to go ahead and watch and make sure I can see my clock and we can count as well. Okay, so I've got 12 breaths there in that 15 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that by 4, which would give us a respiratory rate of 46. So again, that's well within the normal range for cats, so we know Chipmunk's doing well. So I'm just going to go ahead now and listen to those lungs. So it's important to listen to the whole lung field. So we're listening to both sides of the chest. And then just moving the stethoscope around to make sure we've got the full lung field. And he sounds good there. We can't hear any wheezes or any crackles. So we know that he's doing well. And then finally we're just going to go ahead and take his temperature. So I've got my thermometer here and my lube. We know obviously a lot of cats don't really appreciate having their temperature taken, so I'm going to just get my assistant to just restrain a little bit stronger than we have been doing so I can get a nice temperature. So going ahead, lifting the tail, we're going to, we've lubed the end of the thermometer probe, we're going to just insert that into his rectum, good boy, and then just waiting for the thermometer to register the temperature. Just takes a few minutes. I know, buddy. And we like to leave the taking the temperature to last because obviously you can see Chipmunk's a little bit agitated. And leaving this till last, we know we haven't affected any of his other parameters such as his heart rate or his respiration rate as he becomes a little bit stressed while we're taking his temperature. Okay, so his temperature there is 99.8, which is well within normal limits. We're just going to go ahead and record that in his chart along with his respiration rate and his heart rate, and that we didn't find any abnormalities today during his exam.